And what is that crown made of? Listen here, don't be rude to Alicent. They're all doing flips and tricks naked. Viserys, you remain the best character of the show. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you could, give it a like before exiting and please consider subbing. Today we'll be watching the 4th episode of House of the Dragon, King of the Narrow Sea. Okay, so I just want to make it clear, Viserys is my favorite character so far. He feels like the most, I don't know how to put, like human, like real. You want, you know, hindsight is like 20/20, as they always say. Like, you feel like this is what he should be doing, but at the end of the day, when you really think about the choices he has, it's like, okay, so if he does one thing, like for instance, he disinherits Daemon, but he absolves his marriage and he keeps him close and he lets him remarry. I don't know if he'd let him remarry to Rhaenyra, but he lets him remarry someone of his choosing and he has kids. There's always the question is, will Daemon push for these kids to take the throne over Rhaenyra? That's also another like question mark that Viserys would have to like ask himself. So it's, you know, you find yourself in the moment frustrated with him, but then when you stop and think, it's like, you know, you make one choice, there's a whole other storm on the other end of that. You make another choice, there's a whole other storm of consequences on the other end. It's like he says to Alicent, like, I'm doomed to upset somebody. Every choice comes with a pro and a con. It's like, which con would you rather like have to tackle? So I don't know. Viserys is definitely my favorite. His actor, Paddy, is just, oh my God, he is incredible. I love him. He is like both actor and character are my favorite. I didn't think going in, I thought Daemon and Rhaenyra were going to be my favorite characters going into this. I did not expect myself to love Viserys this much, but I do. I find every time he's on my screen, I'm just so engaged in everything he's doing and he's saying, and I'm yelling at him because I want him to do the right thing, because you want to root for this guy because you get the feeling that he's a good guy. He's just so human. He has his flaws. He seems to be the kind of guy that doesn't like confrontation. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. I mean, yes, there is an upside to conflict. There is. Like there's like to run from conflict all your life is essentially to stay stagnant in certain respects. But he doesn't want to upset people, and I don't think that's a bad thing to not want to fight and upset people. And then he goes and upsets people like Corlys, and it's like, I know what you want, and yet at the same time your actions just don't sometimes. It's like, it's so human. Like, we want one thing and yet we do another thing that is counterproductive to the things we want, because we're like prisoners to our desires in that moment. So we act on what we want. Like, my fat shouldn't be eating that damn cake if I want to be a skinny legend, but my fat eats the damn cake. So it's like, I mean, of course it's not the same equivalency, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you want one thing and then you want another, but then your actions have to align with what you want. Like, I believe him when he says he doesn't want to command his daughter. He wants her to be happy. I fully believe him when he says that. And yet he marries her best friend. Like, that's not going to upset her. Like, you know, she's still struggling with the loss of her mother, and then you marry her best friend. I guess in Viserys' mind, he's like, okay, it's her best friend. Like, who wouldn't want her best friend to be part of her family? But just not in this way. I don't know what Viserys was thinking in that respect and how Rhaenyra was gonna accept that. But, you know, like I said, it's like he wants one thing and then he does another. And it feels so human. His conflict feels so, his actor, the writing, it's so consistent. It's so, and that moment at the fire with Alicent, just, you feel for him. He didn't expect all this to happen. He feels tremendous guilt. Like, he says his dream killed Rhaenyra's mother. It took Aemma. And I'm glad I got that confirmation that he wasn't necessarily pushing to replace Daemon. He was, or like satisfy the council or like do right by the realm. It was more so about his own personal desire to bring forth that dream into reality, which is what I felt. I felt like it wasn't about an heir per se, or Rhaenyra wasn't good enough, or he wants to shut the council up or save the realm from Daemon. I don't necessarily feel like that's why he kept like getting on top of his wife and getting her pregnant. It was for that damn dream. Like, he's
let me not get too graphic with that, because I was about to say he's imagining this dream while he's inside of her, if not anything else. That was a little too descriptive. But anyways, okay, so it does seem like Rhaenyra and Viserys' relationship is getting better. At the end of the episode, he tells her, you know, go find someone you love, someone you can build a family with like I did. Granted, one has to wonder if what he and Alicent have is love, because I feel like Alicent would rather be anywhere but there with that man. And Viserys is still, well, at the very least when he was bonding with her, I feel like he was still grieving Aemma. That's just me. I don't think it's necessarily love between them. Now, speaking of Alicent and Viserys, they had another conversation about his dream in by the fire. This episode seemed to be like dreams and portents and signs, like the white stag, which appeared to Rhaenyra. So I guess the show's all but saying, yeah, this white stag, and she spares it, which is, you know, it reminds me, I believe it's in one of the earlier POVs for Sansa in the first book. She has a dream, or is it a dream, or she like has a fantasy, a dream, whichever. Sansa's thinking about Joffrey like finding the white heart, and he would, I feel like I forgot how it went. She imagines Joffrey killing it. Like, I think she wants Joffrey to be like one of those like gallant heroes, spare the white heart. But I feel like she says like, damn, I couldn't even imagine him. Like, I couldn't even dream of him sparing it. Because Joffrey's just so crazy. I think that, yeah, sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent, but that I do, the white heart was something that her sparing the white heart kind of reminded me of Sansa thinking about, you know, like the gallant hero spare the white heart. Because Criston Cole does go to draw his sword and Rhaenyra says no. She kills the stag, spares the white heart. I think that was done in parallel, because she does come in contact with like two animals, a boar and a stag. I'm guessing the stag appearing to her all ethereal like is like, yeah, you are our monarch. Okay, so Daemon is victorious in the Stepstones. Interestingly enough, he didn't say a single word throughout this that episode. He was mum from beginning to end, but he did do what he said he was going to do at the beginning of this. It was like, I'm going to feed you to your crabs. I don't know if he did. I mean, he was coming out of his body. I mean, he was dragging his body out the water, so I'm assuming he did. But yeah, he's victorious in the Stepstones. Rhaenyra is searching for a husband because she's of age. Otto is now working. He succeeded in getting Daemon disinherited. Now we got to get Rhaenyra disinherited. Now we got to get Aegon on the throne. And I think that's it. Daemon is victorious. Rhaenyra is looking for a husband. Otto still is now working on getting rid of Rhaenyra. Got rid of Daemon. Now let's move on to Rhaenyra. So let's get the episode started. Oh, she's playing with the necklace. I think that's the necklace Daemon gave her, right? That's something that she does. They said that she would play with her rings when she's nervous.
Blackwoods are an ancient house with a formidable...
He's a Blackwood?
Blood of the first men still flows in their veins.
Ours is a bond that has long endured. Since Lucas Blackwood, the grandsire of my grandsire, aided the dragon in his war of conquest.
Aye, the Blackwoods truly turned the tide on that one. Craven.
Oh. Yeah.
We're leaving.
We're out. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god. It's on sight for them. Never fails. Bracken's in the Blackwoods. Oh. Oh, look like he wanted to throw up. It's like, I caught my first body. So Rhaenyra is essentially on a tour looking for a husband.
How do you think he would take it?
Do you speak of how you rejected every suitor his grace put before you, or how you wrapped the end of the tour with 2 months remaining?
Oh god. Gee, give the girl a concussion? Damn. Well, I guess that's fitting. Something tells me even if he knew she was on it, he'd still do it. Daemon just strikes like, yeah, I'm gonna still do it even if Rhaenyra's on it. Oh, I guess he notices her. She trying to hide from him? This man is really strolling into the throne room with a crown on his head. And what is that crown made of? Sticks and bones? Ooh, I like this shot of her like trailing him, trailing behind him through the crowd. Oh, that's cool. Whoever thought of that? Excellent.
Add it to the chair.
You wear a crown. Do you also call yourself king?
They name me King of the Narrow Sea.
The episode title.
But I know that there is only one true king, Your Grace.
His crown looks hideous. That is an ugly crown, sir.
My crown and the stepstones are yours.
I'm like, you can keep that crown. I'll keep mine.
Who holds the stepstones?
2,000 dead Triarchy corsairs staked to the sand to warn those who might follow.
Rise.
Aww, brotherly love.
You were always Mother's favorite. And I, sadly, was no great warrior.
Congratulations on your victory.
Ooh. But like, you are not supposed to be here. You are supposed to be searching for a husband. Oh, this is awkward.
Perhaps Prince Daemon would care for a tour of the gallery.
Would you like to see the tapestry?
Oh, don't be rude.
I'd like to see them.
Oh.
Oh, well, then you should not deprive yourself.
Listen here, don't be rude to Alicent.
I shall
At least Rhaenyra was trying. Oh, Viserys. I don't like how he did Alicent right there.
You surmise the tour did not go well? Those men and boys don't fawn over me. They only want my name and my Valyrian blood for their offspring.
They don't care about her, just her title.
I think it's rather romantic. How romantic it must be to get imprisoned in a castle and me to squeeze out heirs.
Ugh. She did seemingly not like her mother's position either. Oh, yeah. That's what she was running from with her mother, too. I think her mother said we have royal wounds. She seemed not to like that either.
I've missed you, too.
Oh, so they're repairing their friendship now. Have they spoken about the whole marrying her father yet? Like, have they had a conversation about that yet? That was a pretty shot of him underneath the earwood. To be a dick. Ah, the necklace again.
You've matured yourself these last 4 years, Princess. You'll get used
And it begins.
My father seems content to sell me off to whichever lord has the biggest castle.
There are worse things to be sold for.
Fair point. Perspective, Rhaenyra. I like that they speak Valyrian. Is it a loss of agency or motherhood? So she doesn't want, so she's... Solitude. So she wants to be alone. So is it because she doesn't want to get married because she's afraid of losing, I don't know, agency or control over her body?
Good night, Sir Kristen.
So Alicent's stuck in the room with the crying baby and she comes back to peace and quiet. Like, who the difference? I think that's the difference when you have a father who loves you. Because I don't think Otto, maybe he does love her. Just that this is just how fathers, I feel like Viserys is like the exception while Otto is the rule. What is it? Oh, it's a map. Is this Maegor's secret tunnels throughout the Red Keep? Balerion skull and some rats on it, and there he goes.
Where are we going?
Is this King? Oh, the King's Landing at night.
Fuck off, boy.
He called me boy.
I think in the first episode she said she'll never be a son, and then she seemed happy when you called her a boy.
To know your day.
Where are your eyes? Oh God, no, I don't. Yeah. Can you imagine you're walking the street and someone says, oh, no eyes, would you like to know your death? I'm going the opposite direction.
Kinder touch than they do.
Thank you, husband.
Now we come to the matter.
Oh, kill me now. If I were that girl, oh God.
And
No. Oh God, sponge bathing your elderly husband. How old is Viserys?
So which heir might that chair bear? The brother, the daughter, or the little princeling of 3? All of her people. But
what is that look?
Their wants are of no consequence.
Don't say that! No!
4 Copper Street rat in King's Landing we'd pay for our pleasures.
Oh, she ain't pay. She didn't realize she had to pay. I just took off running. Girl.
Sir Harwin.
Sir Harwin!
You take care, boy. Next time you might not be so lucky.
Enjoyed that, did you?
Who knows when our next taste freedom?
Oh yeah, it's just normal uncle-niece behavior.
The king has requested your presence. The hour is quite late.
Oh God. This poor girl. Was that naked I just saw? I don't know what's going on here. I'm so confused as to what this is. They're all doing flips and tricks naked. Oh, her fingernails again. Oh God, this rotting man on top of her. Oh Lord, no! Someone save this girl from this. Oh my God, no. No, that is so foul. I did not need to see that. Up. They're able to recognize her. They're saying princess. Daemon, what you doing?
What is this place?
It's where people come to take what they want.
Uh-oh.
It's a pleasure, you see, for the woman as it is the man.
And there it goes. Oh God, and it cuts to this. Oh, Jesus.
Marriage is a duty.
Marriage is a duty. So he's saying, yeah, you're gonna have to marry, but you can find pleasure outside the marriage. Oh, so we're dropping pants too. She seems to be getting into it. Music stopped. What's going on here? You brought her here. I don't get it. What's wrong with him? Oh, sir, and you just left her like that? Sir?
Daemon?
Daemon being Daemon. Ugh. I don't know what the hell that was. That was way too much titties everywhere. And then you got Viserys and Alicent. That disturbing. Who the hell is that? Who just went after her?
Princess, are you hurt?
He's like, I ain't playing. No. He's a Kingsguard Rhaenyra. Is that the kid that went after Rhaenyra?
Am I your prisoner?
I'm your protector.
I'm so confused. What happened
This will
here?
cut the fog. I learned that the skin trade could only take me so far.
Did someone drug him? Or is he just drunk?
I apologize for the early hour, Your Grace. I have discomforting news.
Rhaenyra.
The princess was spied last evening. In a pleasure house. She was carrying on with her uncle.
You enter my bedchamber, accusing my daughter of something. Now speak it. Plainly.
Daemon and Rhaenyra were seen together.
Jesus, Viserys. Oh. Ma'am? Oh, what's the whole Alicent thing? Listening in. All these people listening and spying. The kid, Massaria, being... What's her with the kid? Him?
You're so sick with ambition that you would have my daughter stalked. Your designs are obvious. You wish to have your blood on the Iron Throne so badly that you are willing
Thank
to
you,
destroy
Viserys. You're finally putting it together that this man has been trying to put Aegon on the throne. Already seen each other naked at this point. Once you do that, what's left to hide? Actually, a lot.
Princess, I have a message from the Queen.
Oh God, Alicent. Mind your business, girl. No, oh my God, Alicent. What the? She is not, oh, here it goes. She is not about to do what I think she's about to do. Girl, Alicent. There's a saying, mind the business that minds you.
What happened last night?
What do you mean?
My father has made some
Why
worrying
she-
allegations about you.
Did Viserys tell her to do this?
Oh, I haven't seen him in years. He took me into the city for some fun.
Tell me the whole of it.
Father accused me of something.
I
Did
drank
Viserys
wine,
tell Alicent
castle
to talk to her
dark.
because of their relationship?
that you fucked Daemon in a pleasure house.
Because if not, this don't make no damn sense.
It's a vile accusation.
Is it? You Targaryens do have queer customs.
Why isn't her father
Daemon
talking to her
certainly
about
knows
this?
no limit.
And why did this conversation happen out in the open?
Alicent, your grace.
Oh,
sister,
God.
I would never. You're going to believe such gossip because it did not happen.
He was told. That you...
Yeah, technically, yeah, she didn't have sex with Daemon. Wrong guy.
He reported it to the king.
Yeah.
I overheard.
Also, Viserys didn't. Okay, so Viserys didn't tell her to
So you are accusing
speak
me
to
of
Rhaenyra.
slanders.
What is Alicent doing?
I only want to help you, Rhaenyra.
How does this help?
We drank in a tavern. It was getting late.
I don't get it. Why?
I asked to go home.
What?
But Daemon wished to continue. And then Daemon sank into his cups, abandoned me for some whore.
I mean, maybe he was... This feels real. That part felt real. I think he did get... Okay, so he got drunk, but he didn't take off with another woman. He just got drunk. I'm still confused as to what Daemon did after he left.
Must I truly refute that?
So she has to refute this to Alicent? I don't get why. I feel like this is business for the king and Rhaenyra.
I swear this to you, upon the memory of my mother.
Oh, God. And Rhaenyra lying.
If that lord were to think that you were being sullied,
Oh, God.
it would ruin
This
everything.
whole a woman being sullied because she lost her virginity before she... I get why, but... So is that why she feels like she should have confronted her because she worked to find her a good match too? Is that why she feels like I should confront her about this? Because there's this mind the business that minds you. So maybe that's why she felt like it was her business because she tried to find a match for Rhaenyra too.
The king demands an audience, my friend.
God. He walked in so like with a swagger and now he's getting dragged in. So he got drunk after he left Rhaenyra in a very awful position. Vulnerable like that. Douche.
I need to understand the charge before I can attempt to discredit it.
You defiled her.
Oh, what does it matter, brother? When we were Rhaenyra's age, we f***ed our way through most of the brothels on the Street of Silk. Better first experience to be with me than some whore.
Oh, God.
You have ruined her. God will wed her now in this condition.
Who gives a fuck what some lord think?
You know, I actually agree with him on this one thing. F these lords. Let Rhaenyra's freak flag fly.
Wed her to me. When I offered up my crown, you said I could have anything. I want Rhaenyra.
Was that his
Take
plan
her
all
as she is
along?
and wed her in the tradition of our house.
As long as you are gone from my side for good.
As you wish, brother.
So this was a plan to wed Rhaenyra? This was a dumbass plan. How do you think Viserys... Did this man just roll over? How do you think Viserys is gonna... Viserys was always gonna say no. If that's what you did, I mean...
You believe he lied?
How often does he speak the pure truth?
How does confessing to such things serve him?
By reducing you. He swore to me that she remains a maiden.
Yeah.
And I believe her.
Yeah. So is this the fracture because Rhaenyra lied about her maidenhead? Stupid. Sorry. I really hope there's more to it, because that's a dumb reason. I'm gonna need more. I hope they do not let that, because Rhaenyra lied about her maidenhead, be what disrupts their, I guess they're just starting to repair the relationship.
From my blood.
There's
come
writing
the
on it?
prince that was promised. And his will be the song of ice and fire.
So all along it was on the dagger, and all someone had to do was stick that fire?
Your courtship is at an end. You will wed Selene of Velaryon. and you will do so without protest.
Okay, because I was wondering how that was going to work.
Son of a sea snake. And what will you do about the vulture who perches upon your throne?
What vulture?
Your hand.
Ooh.
Conqueror's vision and the need for strength and unity across the realm. But how can that be accomplished with your most
Are we
trusted
having
advisor
Rhaenyra
so
speak
self-interested?
sense? Not to say that she hasn't, but...
I will do my duty as heir. And with Selena, you must first do yours.
Okay, so it seems like she's finally getting back into it. Because last episode, she seemed checked out of it.
You served my grandsire nobly. You are the man that taught me how to be king.
Well, that explains so damn much.
How long did it take you to choose yourself over your king?
Got it. The way he's like, me?
I will never recover from
Never.
But Alicent, she took me through the worst of my grief.
Please see what that was.
She was a calculated distraction.
Yes! Thank you! So you know. Yes.
How well
so he put it together that she. Thank you, because why is this little girl, this child, coming to her best friend's father to spend time with him like that? Unless her father commanded her to. Thank you, Viserys. Thank you! I love Viserys this episode. Except for how he did Alicent in the beginning of the episode. Oh, this Viserys, you take the cake this episode. Viserys, once again, is the standout of this episode. When he's winning, when he's failing, when he's f***ing up, when he's succeeding. You go, Viserys. He put that together. It took him years, too. And it took his daughter having to, like, well, no, not even, because he put it together when Otto came into the room and told him about Rhaenyra. Oh. Look at you, Viserys. Still being my favorite character.
I took great care in its preparation. A tea, princess, from the king.
Look at Viserys putting it together. Viserys is like, yeah, you may believe it, Alicent, but I don't. I know my daughter, and I know my brother. Technically, his brother did not, but... Look at Viserys putting... Yeah, you better drink that moon tea, girl. You never know. Oh my god, Viserys. The MVP of the episode. Go, Viserys. Okay, so Viserys remains the best character in this show. At least for me. He's okay, how about this? My favorite character in this show. Like, he just shot up even more. Except for when he laughed at Alicent. And that whole rotting body on top. Like, no, I could have done without that. Like, no, you lose points for that. But beyond that, he was on it. He said, Otto, use a lie. Rhaenyra, he said that moon tea like Rhaenyra, use a lie. Daemon, leave. He was on it. He figured, he's like, Alicent, use a lie. Well, not to Alicent, but to Otto. The Alicent was a distract. He was on it this episode. I am proud. I am a proud mama. Viserys figured it out. He's my favorite character. Yes. Now that we've gotten that out the way, Daemon, just all sorts of wrong. Just all wrong. All wrong what he did this episode. And I don't even know if marrying Rhaenyra was part of the plan. I actually think Alicent was on the money when she says it was to diminish him. Like, that's what all this was about. Honestly, I feel like the whole wed her to me thing came after the brothel. Like, after everything went down in the brothel, then he comes up with that. Because marrying, if that was the plan, this was a stupid plan. And I don't think, well, maybe Daemon is stupid. I don't know. Maybe he really is a dumb. I don't know, because I don't get how pissing him off. Not to mention, you're already married, and the whole Aegon the Conqueror took a second while. Like, you know how Westeros, especially the Faith, feel about no, he knows it ain't happening. Like, you're not marrying, you're not taking a second break. He already showed you how he felt about Massaria. It's not happening. Okay, so that's why I feel like, actually, I think in the books, Rhea Royce. At this point, Rhea wasn't alive. I could have sworn she died while he was at war. Oh well. Anyways, yeah, so he's like, you already got a second wife. I mean, you already have a wife. Beat it. You're not taking a second one. You already know how they
move. And I know David would have known that that would have been Viserys' reaction. Like, he's not saying yes. One, he's already pissed off about you touching his daughter, the person he loves most in this world. He's not going to marry you. I mean, no matter what the lords think. If anything, he'd just hurry up to marry her before rumor spreads. Like, I feel like his plan was just to, like, screw around with Viserys. Like, you disinherited me. I'm going to get back at you in the most up way ever. Like, that man was just, ugh. What he did to Rhaenyra. Okay, let me get into Daemon and Rhaenyra, like that entire relationship. It starts off with Rhaenyra touching the necklace, right? And Daemon touches it later. So she's on this bachelor, Westerosi bachelor tour, and she's touching the episode starts off with her touching that necklace. Like, I think it's to show that he's in her head while she's listening to marriage proposals. There's this moment that I loved, like just the imagery of it, of her like trailing after him. Like the camera has her in the background and he's in the foreground and he's like walking and she's trailing after him. That was I don't know who came up with that, but that was chef's kiss. Loved it. And she just has her eye on her uncle, and then she is like watching him in the garden. Or was he the one watching in the garden? I don't know. Someone was watching someone in the garden. Like, essentially these two had their eye on each other. And from Rhaenyra's point of view, she doesn't know what her uncle has in store for her. So it's not coming, like with Daemon, I feel like his eye being on her is coming from a place of, you are a part of my plan to get back at my brother. While Rhaenyra is fascinated, attracted to her uncle, sexually attracted to her uncle. You know, they're Targaryens, they do it, whatever. But that's what's happening there. And then they have that moment in the Godswood, like in the courtyard or whatever you want to call it. They start speaking Valyrian. They seem to have like this real moment where she, you know, confides in him once again. You know, I feel that that's interesting because she talks about her mother again. Like, I feel like she talks about her deeper feelings with him, and that just makes it even worse because she clearly trusts him and he takes advantage of her trust in this episode. And the way he left her in that brothel was so wrong. Just that image of her with her pants down and her shirt unbuttoned and her holding herself in like this, just, oh. Now, it does seem like they have like this ability. Well, she has this ability to speak to him plainly in that scene. Like, she talks about her mother. And I do wonder if it's motherhood she's afraid of, if it's marriage, or if, I'm trying to think, because if, I want to know, I'm curious, if Aemma had a choice in all of this, because we do see her saying, I've mourned all the dead kids that I can. Like, I'm done. I do wonder if she had a choice in all of this, would she have kept getting pregnant? Like, if that's not something her husband wants, or she's supposed to give birth to a boy. Like, if this external pressure wasn't on her, would she even continue to try to get pregnant? Does she even want more kids? Like, I feel like that's something I find myself interested in, because Rhaenyra says my mother was made to like keep pushing out kids until it killed her. And even last episode, he says, you know, Viserys says, I killed Rhaenyra's mother. Granted, it was not the pursuit of an heir per se, but more so bringing that dream into reality was more so his concern, or at the forefront of his mind. But I wonder for Rhaenyra, because Daemon says she's afraid of something. She says, I'm not afraid. I just want to be alone. So solitude seems to be her goal. And I wonder if it's necessarily she's running away from getting married because of everything that happened with her mother. And I wonder if it's pregnancy she fears, if it's a loss of agency over whether, you know, just because, and that's
strange fear for me because whoever Rhaenyra marries, she would have the say-so over, right? Because, like, I mean, could she marry that would outrank her? That's a very interesting thing as I ponder. I'm like, who could she marry that would have say-so over her? Because Rhaenyra isn't just, like, her only existence, because, like, she says it to Alicent. It goes back to the first episode with her mother with the whole royal womb comment. Like, Rhaenyra isn't just that. Like, she's not being pigeonholed into the role of Alicent. She's not being pigeonholed into the role of her mother. She's heir to that throne. So it's not like she's just like, you are more than what they are. You giving birth to kids isn't just about, I mean, yeah, it is about you producing more heirs to shore up the line. Yeah, but you're not just that. You would be the monarch. You would be the ruling queen of Westeros. Like, you're both. You're both the woman and the man in this space. So I wonder if it's just trauma over the loss of her mother. Like, she hasn't grieved her mother properly, I guess. I don't know. Like, her not wanting to marry, I wonder if she fears motherhood. And that's sort of like, you know, if I get married, I'm going to have to start having to have kids. I'm afraid of being a mom, if that's what it is, or if it's a loss of agency over her body. It's a fear to me that doesn't necessarily make sense because she is above all that, in the sense that not necessarily motherhood, but the whole made to squeeze out heirs, like to be imprisoned in a castle made to squeeze out heirs. Like, you're not that, though. Like, you are to be queen, my dear. Like, hello, Rhaenyra. You're not like Alicent. You're not like your mother. You are the ruling monarch. You wouldn't be pigeonholed in where your existence is just that. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to make of Rhaenyra's resistance towards not wanting to marry. I don't know. But I the only thing I can come up with is maybe because the person she wants to marry is her uncle. That's why when she's she's playing with the necklace while she's listening to proposals. Like, the person she wants to marry isn't among them. It's the man who gave her the necklace. Maybe that's why she's being so resistant towards marrying someone, because her fears, unless it's just grief over losing her mother, that's why she doesn't want to marry. But beyond that, because she says her mother was made, like, she doesn't want that same fate. But it's like, ma'am, you're not gonna suffer that same fate, because I mean, you would be both man and woman. Like, the man that the position the man normally occupies would be yours, and the position the woman occupies would be yours. You would essentially be holding both, which is far more powerful in my opinion. So I don't get Rhaenyra's resistance to marrying. Maybe I'm not seeing it correctly. Maybe it's just trauma over losing her mother and she has not moved past that. Like I said, you really don't ever get over that. Speaking as someone who lost their father young, I have not. You never do. There's never a time, like, the anniversary of his passing is just like it was just a few days ago for me. You never move on. It's the 20th year of me losing my dad, and I was like 7. I was 7, about to turn 8 when that happened. You know, you don't ever lose. It doesn't matter what age you're at. That is not something you push past ever. It's always there. It's somewhere inside of you, even when it's not at the forefront of your mind. It's a grief that lives with you. The time that was lost, the time that you could have had. So if that's what it is for Rhaenyra, then I hope we get to, like, see that play out a bit more. Like, try to really narrow in, because if it's a fear of agency, because her mother didn't really have a say in getting pregnant. I mean, I guess she just finally got to the point where she felt like, I can't do this anymore. Like, she had to give voice to it. Like Viserys, I can't have another child. I can't lose another child. I can't go through this anymore. I feel like that feeling was probably inside of her from, like, the first miscarriage or the second miscarriage. Like, who wants to go through that over and over? If not, I mean, that's why I'm curious if Aemma even wanted more kids, so beyond the fact that she has to create a boy to take over the role of king, and the fact that her husband wants kids. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's a loss of agency that Rhaenyra is trying to avoid, which to me doesn't really make sense, because she would outrank whoever she marries. And if it's just fear of motherhood, then that's interesting. And that's an interesting hump to see Rhaenyra get over. But yeah. But I went on this ridiculous tangent just now. But back to Daemon and Rhaenyra. He's taking her throughout the city, and he does give some good advice. Like, the people matter, Rhaenyra. Like, please, please listen to what the people are saying. And Daemon, I mean, he is called Prince of the City and Lord Fleabottom. So I guess he is a man who walks amongst the people and understands their power, understands, because it seems like he says, it's interesting, because Daemon says to Viserys, who gives a bleep what the lords think, but he does tell Rhaenyra what the small folk think matters. So it's interesting how Daemon says, the small folk matter, the lords, it reminds me of Olenna saying the lords of Westeros are sheep. Like, they don't really put, because one could say that the lord's power come from the small folk. Like, I don't know. I guess Daemon just sees the lords as someone he can easily bowl over. He just doesn't take their opinions, but he does take the opinions of the small folks seriously. And he does warn Rhaenyra, you better listen to what they got to say. I do think you get to see a lot of Rhaenyra's, like, pamperedness in this episode, because she just takes food off a tray. Like, she does it, I think she does it when she's in the garden. Like, you see when they're all talking in the gardens and they're welcoming Daemon back home, she like takes food off a tray, and she does it again in King's Landing, like in the city. And Daemon's like, you gotta pay for that. Like, you're not behind your castle walls, girl. And she's like, who cares what the people think? Like, no, you gotta care what the people think. Like, he's like trying to, and also Alicent's like, you got it pretty lucky. Like, most girls don't even get to choose, and you got a choice. Well, you had a choice. You had you had the opportunity to choose, but you lost that, girl. And then Daemon's like, I think she says like she's being sold off for like a castle, and Daemon's like, there are worse things in the world to be sold for. So it seems like people in Rhaenyra's life are trying to like give her some perspective. I feel like she's a lot like her dad in that way, because I believe her father doesn't leave the keep too much. She doesn't leave the keep too much. They're very like in their heads. I guess in that way, Daemon and Alicent sort of parallel. They're trying to tell Rhaenyra, hey, appreciate what you got. You lost your mother, you've lost your friend, but this is a bond that can still be repaired. Like, you're not totally estranged. Yes, your father and that relationship is like, it's tense, but that can be repaired. And like her father says, and sort of like what Daemon says, you isolate yourself, you lose out. And I feel like that's maybe why her scope is quite myopic. I mean, beyond her being the fact that she is a princess, and there's a little bit of a spoiledness and she's also a dragon rider. There's a lot of pretend. I mean, we saw it in the beginning of the episode where who was that? Boros Baratheon? I forgot which one that was. Boros, I don't know. Whoever, I don't know if they said the name, but it was one of them, and says to her, like, that was a little rude, Rhaenyra. Like, she's sitting there. She has that air about her. So it's interesting. Actually, how can I put it? Last episode, Rhaenyra sees that the lords of the realm want Aegon to be heir. And now she sees that the small folk want Aegon to be heir because he's a man. So it's interesting how we're going to see Rhaenyra respond to that. Like, she's seen the lords. She's seen the small folk. What will she do now? Like, how will the writers like approach Rhaenyra going forward with seeing just like the expectation? Like, at first she doesn't really, she runs away from the lords. Like, she doesn't want to go back to camp or deal with that. And then she tells Daemon, I don't want to hear it. How's Rhaenyra gonna move forward with like tackling this? Like, how she's gonna confront this? Because she can't keep running from it forever. So there's that. Like, Daemon says, like, you can't like isolate yourself, like, or you miss out you miss out on the good parts of life. Now, the brothel scene being like sort of like it's being like they interposed the Viserys and Alicent scene, and Daemon saying like marriage is a duty. Like, this is Alicent doing her duty. But he's also telling Rhaenyra there is a way out, or maybe not necessarily a way out, but for you to find balance. Like, do your duty, but then you can like have fun on the side, which
Knowing what I know, I'm like, oh, yikes, Daemon. Oh, Daemon. I mean, I guess that's like good advice in the sense that, I mean, yeah, she's kind of stuck in doing her duty and having to marry someone she doesn't want to. But at the same time, you can find pleasure for yourself in all of this. Now, Otto and Mysaria. Daemon leaves Rhaenyra alone. Horrifically, that was truly disgusting and foul of him to do that to her, because she's a child. She's vulnerable in a city she doesn't know. Her pants are down. I mean, it's so messed up. That image of her is just, ugh. Just both images of both girls. Like Rhaenyra, when it was all said and done, just standing there, and then Alicent, you know, her nervous habit of like picking at her fingers, and then her just laying there after. It's just, ugh. But Rhaenyra takes off. A boy sees her, and then next time we see that boy with Otto. And then the next time we see that boy with Mysaria, and he's giving her, the boy's giving Mysaria money that I'm assuming Otto gave the boy to give to Mysaria for this information. Now, we see Daemon with Mysaria. How does he end up with Mysaria? I'm not sure. Daemon seems to not be sure either, in a way. I don't know. At first, I thought he was drugged or something, because that man was out of it. But I think he was just drunk. I feel like after what happened between him and Rhaenyra, he got face drunk. Like, whoo, Lord, I don't know what that was, but I need to get drunk and forget about it. I don't know if Daemon knows that Otto and Mysaria are linked up. I don't think he does. He's only been back for a day. Like, that was his first night back in King's Landing in like 3-4 years. I'm trying to think. He says, "Am I your prisoner?" So I guess he didn't end up there on his own, because she's like, "I'm your protector." So I guess what I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming after everything that happened, he takes off, he gets drunk somewhere, one of Mysaria's people around, and I guess they take him into like one of the rooms and keep him safe, I guess. I don't know. But it seems to me that they weren't a part of it. Like, Daemon removing Rhaenyra's cap and then his hood is different from Mysaria passing on information to Otto. Like, I feel like Daemon just wanted those rumors to spread naturally. Whereas that information gets blown up a lot faster than I think he expected it to. At least I think. I feel like the marriage proposal was off the cuff too. Because this was a stupid way to try to get Rhaenyra's hand. Because stay nice. Like, I would imagine Daemon would know that Rhaenyra was given the opportunity to choose. I mean, they got back to King's Landing on the same day. Like, I would imagine, like, oh, people are saying the princess and the prince both come back to King's Landing at the same time. She's back, like, and he would be wondering, okay, well, where was she? Oh, she's on this little bachelor tour of Westeros. Like, her hand is free to marry. So, like, Viserys is laughing with his brother. He's hugging him. You were mother's favorite. Like, they seem to be, like, going back to, like, bosom boys or whatever. And, like, just staying as good graces. And Rhaenyra seems to be sweet on him. Like, if Rhaenyra has her choice, like, just, who knows what Viserys would have said if you had worked to, like, redeem yourself in your brother's eyes. But... And if with Rhaenyra's, like, you know, if Rhaenyra wants it as well, like, if, I don't know, I just feel like this was a stupid way to go about it. Like, I feel like Daemon would have known better. Or maybe I'm giving Daemon too much credit and that man really is just a dumbass. I don't know, because that just seems like the worst way. Because the whole marriage thing, like, you already have a wife. He's not saying yes. Like, you know how they feel about taking 2 wives. Viserys isn't going to sanction that. You saw how they treated Mysaria when you try to marry her, like that bluff. I mean, no, it's not. I don't think he can. I think the marriage proposal was off the cuff based off whatever happened in that brothel. I feel like he saw Rhaenyra for the first time since, like, really saw her. If that makes sense, like, she was just a pawn this entire time to hurt Viserys, like Alicent says. And then something happens in that brothel
Like there's a moment where the music stops and they're just looking at each other and he's like drawing back and drawing back. I feel like something changes. I don't want to see Rhaenyra becomes an actual person to him, but like, I guess I don't know. I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't know if I want to call it love, because I don't feel like you do that to someone else. But then again, it's Daemon. That man is so he probably would do that to someone he loves. So shoot, I don't know. That man really probably would do that to someone he cares about. I don't put it past him. So maybe maybe he realizes feelings for her. Like she gets into it with him, like she's liking it, and then he's like, whoa there, okay, maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe this is not how I want our first time to really go down. I don't know, but something changed, and I don't think the marriage proposal was like, that was his first thought. At least I don't think it was. So Otto has lost his position, his hand. Rightfully so. Viserys did his job and like saw Otto for the first time. Like Daemon is seeing Rhaenyra for the first time, and Viserys is seeing Otto for the first time, apparently. Like, yes, see him for what he's doing, please. And he sees it and he essentially fires him. Like, you're fired. Take the pin off and get out. Now, Alicent and Rhaenyra just started to like, I wish we had gotten a scene after that council meeting where Viserys says, I'm going to marry Alicent. I kind of wish we'd gotten like a scene between them where they talk about it, because I feel like that would have been an interesting parallel to this moment. Because I fully believe Alicent would have been put in a position where she'd have to lie to protect her father. And then in this moment, Rhaenyra would be on the back end and would have found herself lying to Alicent. And it would have been like this parallel, whether they're in these positions where they have to lie to one another. She essentially says at first it was more so like a lie of omission, like it wasn't Daemon I got on with it, but I did get on with Kristen Cole. Like it could have been like that, but then she goes on to like really, like swear she is a maiden, and is like, yikes, now that is definitely a lie, honey. Like you are not. But at the same time, I'm a firm believer that one, mind your business, like mind the business that minds you. So at first I'm like, Alicent, what are you doing? I don't think they have this relationship anymore. I don't know if Rhaenyra trusts Alicent like that. Like, I feel like this was the first time in the beginning of this episode where they were probably talking cordially again. I don't feel like their bond has kind of repaired itself. First, I wanted to say that maybe Alicent feels like it is her business because she says, I've worked hard to find you a match. So maybe that's why she feels like this is her business. But even then, like, something like this, I don't know. Like, why get involved? Like, that's a choice, Alicent. That's a weird ass choice. I would not want to. Like, that is awkward. Like, leave that between her and her daddy. I'm sorry. I'd be like, ooh, girl, good luck. But I guess, I don't know. Because she says she wants to help her. So I'm guessing, like, okay, she finds out the truth. Then she goes to Viserys and says, okay, look, she did, but don't disinherit her. This is what happened. Da 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 da. Maybe that's what she meant. Like, I just want to help you. But I don't know. Just the way it all went about. Like, Rhaenyra is essentially told that, yeah, girl, while you were busy brushing your hair, people were talking about your coochie, and the matters of your coochie was being spread around town, girl. You were brushing your hair, la-di-da-da-da, la-da-da-da-da. I got it laid tonight. I got it down tonight, like the night before. Then you get like, girl, they be talking. My father already told your father. Like, Rhaenyra's like, shit. Like, I don't know. Like, and there was this aggression that Alicent had. And I guess I understand why she feels angry. But at the same time, I'm like, angry or not, is this really your place to approach Rhaenyra? You're not her mother. I feel like this was a conversation between Aemma and Rhaenyra that should have been had. That's how I felt the entire time. Like, this feels like shit. This is the conversation you need your mom for. And, you know, just her mom's gone now, and I don't know. If it's not her mother, then leave it to her father. I don't know. I guess I see why Alicent decided to butt in and have this conversation, but at the same time, I'm like, girl, why would you do this to yourself? Like, if I were Alicent, I'm like, I'm not getting involved. This ain't got shit to do with me. I'm gonna leave Rhaenyra and Viserys to figure that out. But she does confront her. And I honestly don't know what Alicent was expecting Rhaenyra to do. I guess be honest, but I'm like, how do you be honest about that? Like, it's already such an awkward conversation. And the person who's questioning you, by Rhaenyra's point of view, this person, your I don't know if I would still call Alicent her best friend. I mean, she's like, sister. I'm like, oh, that sounds so damn phony, girl. Like, you tried too hard now. That sounds so forced. Sister, like, that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like they have that relationship anymore. And so she approaches her, and I can't imagine it as like best friends or ex-best friends. It feels more like a queen approaching the princess, and it's aggressive, and it's not the kind of tone you take when someone's done something wrong and you want them to cop to it. Like, you already, like, you're on the back end. You're already going to slide into something defensive. I just kind of wish that scene didn't happen, because I know this is Alicent's going to find out the truth and it's going to destroy the relationship. And I hate that. I hate that so much, because they're falling out to me over it. I hope something, I guess the reason I don't like it is because if they're falling out is because of Rhaenyra's maidenhead, like, child, that is a shit reason. I hope there's something more to it. Because I'm like, this relationship, I know where it's supposed to go, in the sense that they're on opposite sides for the stupid freaking throne. And I'm like, if Alicent finally finds herself on opposing ends to Rhaenyra over some damn maidenhead, I'm like, girl, this is writers. No, I hope this ain't just it. I'm really hoping that this is not it, which is probably why I find myself frustrated, because you know Alicent's gonna find out the truth, because that kind of big lie, you know there's a falling out bound to happen. I don't want this to be it. I guess that's why I'm so over this scene. Like, I don't like it, because if this is what breaks them apart for good, then this is a stupid fucking reason. I'm sorry. This would be the first time I'm not a fan of the show's choice from a book deviation, I guess. Like, this is why the girls don't like, this is it. A lie over maiden. And I know she swore on her dead mother. I get it. That is so wrong. But at the same time, I'm like, really? This is why? So I'm hoping there's more to it, because if not, I guess that's why I'm so iffy on this scene, or why I didn't want it to happen, or why I feel this type of way, is because if this is what the writers want me to believe is why these girls fracture after being friends for this long, I'm like, no ma'am, this ain't it. I'm gonna need y'all to come up with something else. But I am happy Otto lost his job and David got his ass thrown out again. Rightfully so, David, because what you did to Rhaenyra was wrong on so many levels. Both of them got the boot, rightfully so. And Viserys had moon tea sent to Rhaenyra's bedroom. Like, drink that right now, girl. Your plan B, medieval plan B, got sent to her room by her father. How embarrassing. I mean, that's a down-ass daddy. In a way, like a father that'll get you plan B after. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad that Viserys didn't fall for it. Like, he knows his daughter. Like, there were more, I guess, parallels to Daemon and Rhaenyra again. Like, he says they're chaotic and restless. And then last episode's like, y'all ain't never taken anybody's help, huh? People are just trying to help you and you say no. And then the whole blood, like, they were both covered in blood last episode. And now this episode, it's like hammered down even more. So yeah, I guess I see where it's going. I like this episode. A lot of sex was in this episode. Some of it I could have done without. A lot of it I could have done without. Criston Cole and Rhaenyra. I wonder if that was meant to juxtapose the other two scenes. Granted, I don't know how I feel about it in some ways because there is this. I feel like power plays were being put forth throughout all this episode. Like, Alicent is the queen consort, so of course she's like less empowered to the king. Rhaenyra, I mean, just in terms of trust, her trust being taken advantage of by Daemon, puts her on the back end of that power. And then Rhaenyra being princess and Criston Cole being a king's guard, that also puts a power dynamic in the fold. That makes me feel a little iffy about that scene. But I think the writers probably wanted it to be like a juxtapose of those two moments, and this is like the pure moment. Or Rhaenyra is just like, I don't know, getting one off, like she's already like revved up from that, and so it translates into this moment, I guess. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the whole Criston Cole Rhaenyra thing was about, to be honest. I guess I don't know. I just don't see it for them. I feel like I didn't get enough of them to buy that this. I guess it was just like a crush. Maybe they just had a crush. Like, they're both good looking. That's all it really was. I don't know, but I feel like if that was meant to sort of like say this was equal, but I'm like, it's not really equal because Rhaenyra is the princess and he's a king's guard, so it's like, are they really equals? But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. I like the episode. Like I said, I could have done with a little less sex. Just a little less, particularly the Alicent and Viserys. Just, I did not need to see that man's disgusting, rotting body on top of her. Did not need to see that, but we did get that, so it is what it is. If you enjoyed this reaction, go ahead and give it a like down below and tell me what you